In chapter 112 of the Count of Monte Cristo, Maximilian visits his sister Julie and her husband. They discuss the misfortunes that have visited Morcerf, Danglars, and Villefranche. Perhaps God struck them because there was nothing in their lives to redeem their bad deeds? Monte Cristo arrives to say goodbye and pick up Maximilian, who will be traveling with him. They leave Paris and go to Marseille. When they arrive, they spot Albert on a ship that's leaving for Algiers, waving to a familiar veiled woman on the dock. When Maximilian visits his father's grave, Monte Cristo goes to see Mercedes in the house where his father had lived. He wants to know what he can do to bring some happiness or comfort to her future. She says she's angry with herself because she was a coward. If only she'd had the strength of faith to believe that Edmond could still be alive. She married Fernand because she was afraid to be alone. Monte Cristo tells her how, after his captivity, he made himself an instrument of God. In doing that, he made himself vengeful, secretive, and cruel, or rather impassive, like fate itself. Monte Cristo asks what she wants. She responds that the only thing she wants is for her son to be happy. She says she no longer feels she has free will. All she can do is accept God's will. Monte Cristo urges her to use her free will to debate God's power, but Mercedes replies that this would lead her to despair. When they say goodbye, she tells him she still hopes. In chapter 113 of the Count of Monte Cristo, the Count, feeling sad after leaving Mercedes, questions whether he had set the wrong goal in seeking vengeance. He decides to revisit his past to help him get perspective, so he hires a pleasure boat to take him to the nefarious Chateau d'If. No longer a prison, it is now a tourist destination. He is taken to see his old cell, which brings back a flood of memories of those long, difficult years. Visiting Faria's cell brings back the warm feelings he felt for the Abbé, and he gives the tour guide such a large tip that the man goes to fetch something to give him in return. Monte Cristo prays for a sign that he hadn't been mistaken in the path he'd taken. The guard returns and gives the Count Abbé Faria's manuscript on the monarchy of Italy. Monte Cristo's eyes fall on the epigraph. "You will pull the dragon's teeth and trample the lions underfoot," said the Lord. This is just the answer he'd hoped to find. Monte Cristo meets Maximilian in the cemetery as planned. Maximilian should go to Marseille in a few days while the Count takes care of some business in Italy, and on October 5th, they'll rendezvous on the island of Monte Cristo. The Count reminds Maximilian of his promise not to harm himself, as the young man seems to be wavering, and says there are people who have suffered even worse than he has and have found happiness. As an example, he tells his own story, but avoids identifying details. The Count replies that he's found tranquility.